Hey guys, Snupy here. So the launch of MoP Classic is upon us, which means it's time to make a Feral Druid PvP guide for this new release, or this older release, I guess, that's coming back. But keep in mind, it is actually quite different from it was back in the day with the OG release, as everything is set on the final patch of the expansion, which for Feral Druid means we don't have Instant Cyclone, and we don't have Trends that stun, to name a few things. So it is quite different, actually, on the beta and in MoP Classic than it was back in the day. Just keep that in mind. This guide is going to cover everything that you need to know for MoP Classic. Talents, glyphs, gearing, rotation, opener, burst, everything is going to be in this video. There's going to be timestamps down below as well, so you can skip to the part that you want if you're looking for anything specific. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive into the guide. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the talent tree. So MoP is the first time we're getting this new iteration that we recently went back on in Dragonflight, where we got more of a tree again. But in MoP, we have these simple 3 choices every 15 level. 15 row, we got Feline Swiftness, Displacer Beast, Wild Charge. 30, Ysera's Gift, Renewal, and Cenarium Ward. 45, Fairy Swarm, Mass Entanglement, Typhoon. 60, Soul of the Forest, Incarn, which we're going to talk on more later. Force of Nature. 75, Disorienting Roar, Ursul's Vortex, Mighty Bash. And in 90, we got some very cool ones. Heart of the Wild, which makes your heals absolutely insane. Dream of Cenarius, and Nature's Vigil. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through these, what I recommend, and then we're going to go over to the glyphs. There are some caveats, like in certain situations, you might swap, so keep that in mind. Okay, so on the 15 row, Wild Charge is amazing. It's a new talent to MoP, and we can jump to enemies. We can jump to friendly targets as well. We can even leap in travel form, and it's all around really, really good. Also makes it very easy to kick from range, as you can jump into Skull Bash as a combination, like this, which is also very, very useful. So yeah, 15, Wild Charge. On 30, we got Ysera's Gift, Renewal, and Cenarium Ward. Cenarium Ward is so good. There's probably some situations where Renewal maybe could be better. But so far, I've been just running Cenarium Ward only. It's insane on its own. But if you pair it with Heart of the Wild, it can top you with one button. It is really, really good, especially if you like playing double DPS. So on the 30 row, I'm just going to recommend Cenarium Ward. Ysera's Gift, maybe if you're like doing BGs or something, I can imagine this being pretty good. But for all intents and purposes that I've been doing, Cenarium Ward has been really, really nice. 45, Fairy Swarm, Mass Root, and Typhoon. 30-second CD, you can use it to interrupt, you can use it to knock people off. It also has a 30-yard range, which is insane. If you look at Cyclone, for example, that is a 20-yard range, which means that way beyond, or 10 yards more than Cyclone, I can knock people and interrupt. This is like kind of less known, but as you can see, it hit him from here. So if someone's casting this far away, you can interrupt them. Probably even a bit further as well. This is a quick tip with that. Now, in the 60 row, we got Soul of the Forest, Incarn, and Force of Nature. So, if this was like Season 1 of MoP was back in the day, then you'd probably go Incarn. But this is not. On this last patch, Trent's Force of Nature becomes more favored, you can say. Soul of the Forest, I've actually not really tried this yet. It seems kind of interesting, and there's probably some use for it. But I'm just going to recommend Trends. They root, they apply a Rake Bleed, and just do a pretty good amount of damage. Especially if I'm bursting, I can triple Trent the opener. Oh, I kind of messed up there. Don't copy this opener completely. I was going to show the Trents. Like so. And here you can see all the Trents apply to Rake. And they're actually doing a pretty good amount of burst even. This is, of course, without me doing my normal rotation as well. But you get the point. Then we got 75 row, Mighty Bash. So I forget when they changed this, but at some point they made it to 1 minute cooldown and a 4-second stun. In MoP, it's still a 5-second stun on a 50-second cooldown, which makes it really, really good. Bash is solid option in general. Disorienting Roar and Ursul's Vortex can both have some use, but they're way more, how do you say? Well, I'm trying to find the word. It's way more situational There we go. That's a thing for a moment there. So yeah, Bash overall going to be your best option. Quickly again on Master, same thing. Can be pretty good into Beam Hunters, on Holy Death Knights. Rooting Pets can come in handy. But I even think then that Typhoon is going to be a better option for the most part. And then the level 90 row. We got Heart of the Wild, Dream of Cenarius, and Nature's Vigil. So Heart of the Wild, 6-minute cooldown, but it is so good. Lasts for 45 seconds, and you pretty much just become a healer in terms of the amount of heals you can do. Even instant heals, just Snarling Warding, but also Rejuvening, as Rejuve in MoP heals instantly as well. So it kind of functions like a instant regrowth from retail. Dream of Cenarius, I've not really tried this yet. I think it's too hard to get the value out of. As you do the healing touch, the instant healing touch, and then it's the next two melees, melee attacks, and you might not have the comp points to even spend them, and it ends up just being a mess. Weaved perfectly, it can be pretty good value, but I wouldn't really bother too much. Then we have Nature's Vigil, 1.5 minute cooldown. Actually can be very good. I think this one is very, very viable to use, especially as Heart's such a long cooldown. Let's say if you're doing maybe Healer Feral Druid 2v2, this could be some great value. Or even in certain 3s comps. But personally, I play a bunch of double DPS, and I'm really loving Heart of the Wild. Even in like 3s with heated DPS, just having those off heals when times get tough for a healer is so nice. Yeah, those are the talents that I recommend for MoP Feral PP. Now for the glyphs. So I'll say this, Feral has quite a few interesting glyphs in MoP, but usually you'll be sticking with these. That's Barkskin. You cannot be crit, or rather the chance to get crit is reduced in Barkskin. Very, very handy, especially as it can be used while you're stunned. So that's going to save your life many, many times. Then we have Glyph of Cat Form, increases healing done to you by 20% while in Cat Form. If you're playing, like, let's say double DPS, you can maybe skip this, but even then, like, you can Snarling Ward in Cat Form, you can, put up a Rejuve and be in Cat Form. So even if you don't have a healer, the self-healing benefit from this is pretty real. Of course, if you have a healer healing you in Cat Form, then it's massive, massive value. And then we also have Glyph of Savagery. So Savage Roar can now be used without having any comp points, and it's going to be used as a 1 comp point Savage Roar, which is really, really good. You're going to use this in your openers, like so. Stealth, open up. You can actually proc the instance of this as well, but it's quite rare. But it has happened a few times to me. Let me think here. Yeah, Phase Silence, where Fair Fire in Cat Form silences the enemy. Can be pretty good into certain casters. We also have this Ferocious Bite glyph. Your Ferocious Bite ability heals you for 2% of your maximum health for each 10 energy used. It sounds kind of cool in theory, but in practice, you don't really get many bites off in MoP. And even if you did, it still wouldn't really be worth it, in my opinion. Go with these 3. I'd say give them a read, and there might be certain situations where you want to try certain things. Like, for example, Master Shapeshifter. Reduces mana cost of all shapeshifts by 100%. But going isn't really an issue to the point where you can't go Cat Form anyways. Like, it barely costs any mana. If you spam a lot, you can eventually go but then you're just going to passively regain it as well. And you have Innervate. So it's not really an issue with spending mana in that regard. And it's going to be more value in other glyphs. Okay, now it's time for the Feral Druid opener rotation / burst. It all kind of goes into one part, so it's going to be here. So, a few things to keep in mind. Bleeds are very, very important in MoP, but there's one thing that is even higher prio, and that is Savage Roar. Savage Roar increases all damage done, all physical damage done in Cat Form by 45%. It is so much stronger than it was in Cataclysm, so it's basically a must to keep this up at all times, but thankfully it's quite easy to do. Thanks to the glyph that we talked about in the last part, Glyph of Savagery. We can use it for 0 comp points, in stealth as well, before we open up. So that helps a bunch. But yeah, so Savage Roar bleeds, very important. Bite and Maim are used a bit less than they are in retail, but they will still be utilized quite a bit. But yeah, with that being said, let's kind of just go through it. So, In stealth, as we approach target, we're going to be Savage Roaring. Then we can Pounce, open up. Then we're going to Fury, Berserk. You actually got to Fury before Berserk because you can't Fury while Berserk is up. And Fury only lasts for 6 seconds in MoP. And you really want to get that full rip up within these 6 seconds. So it's going to be buffed by 15% extra. So keep that in mind. Then we can Ravage, we can Mangle, and just start getting those bleeds up. Fair Fire, also using our Trends, which are off global cooldown, for some nice extra damage in the opener. And just in Ghosts in general. And keep in mind, they do also root the Trends. So here's an example of an opener that I'll do quite often. Depending on the exact situation, you know, things can change. Very often I'll do a DR bash off the first stun, maybe even a triple DR Shadow Meld Pounce again to force a trinket or even maybe score a kill in the opener. Because those very, very short stuns can be very, very impactful. But yeah, let's open up. So, Fury and Stealth, Rake Stun, Fury Berserk, Mangle, gonna get my Trends up as well. Full Rip here with Savage Roar and with Fury. And now I can see just these bleeds alone are going to do the most. Reapply to Savage Roar. And this is a pretty typical opener. With more uptime to just keep mangling. Shred is also pretty good, but Shred costs more energy. So I'm not a big fan because it takes longer time to build up the comp points then. But that is the opener. I kind of like left it early, you know, just showing the bleed damage itself. But with uptime, if you are afforded uptime, you can just keep mangling, keep shredding. But again, I do actually prefer spamming mangle for the most part to get those faster comp points. Also, get your Fair Fire up for the armor reduction. When it comes to kind of, you know, proactively just not dying, pop up a Snarling Ward, maybe a Rejuve, maybe go for some clones on the healer. This will, of course, depend on the exact situation you're in. But I hope you get the point. So, let's say we've done the opener. We have full bleeds rolling. We have a nice Savage Roar up and rolling as well. And let me just get bleeds up here. There we are. So we have full bleeds rolling. Maybe a Trent up as well. At this point, our job is just to maintain Savage Roar and keep up full bleeds. Rake and Rip. So it's actually quite simple in that way. And if you can just do those two things, your pressure will be very, very good. Once stun DRs come back off, you have things like Bash, Meld, Pounce, Rake. Rake is Pounce in MoP in Stealth. And yeah. So get those bleeds up. When you can, get them up with Fury to increase the damage by 50%. Then we can do a Bash, get some Trents going, hit him with a Bite. Just an example of a little burst we can do without Berserk. But again, just two things. And I really just want to kind of make this very clear. Savage Roar, most important thing. Maintain the bleeds. Once those two are covered, then you can start going for your maims potentially, or stuns, bites, and actually creating some extra pressure. But if you're not doing those two very fundamental things well, everything kind of falls apart, and you're gonna be performing poorly. Then, of course, beyond this damage, we have things like Cyclone, Roots, Typhoon to interrupt or to peel. Cyclone is used a bit less in MoP, especially if you come from retail or if you come from Kata where you had instant Cyclone. We don't have that in MoP. But Cycloning can be very handy as well. Again, things like Heart of the Wild will be used once the enemy starts doing a lot of pressure. Especially if you're playing double DPS, it's so good. So you can Heart of the Wild, Snarling Ward. It's a very potent combination. Again, your rejuves will kind of function as a regrowth by doing instant healing as well. So spamming rejuve can be very handy. Symbiosis, I should mention as well. So Symbiosis, a very cool ability, very known, and people kind of reminisce on it from MoP. And we have it. You can get Bubble as a Feral Druid from doing it on a Rep Paladin. You can get Feign Death from Hunter, which you can Feign Death, Stealth, and Stun mid-combat, which makes it way easier to stun for Ghosts and way more frequent. So yeah, Symbiosis, very, very strong. Also, you can get a Dispersion You get a bunch of different things. Some classes will give you way stronger things, like Paladin, like Priest. Actually, it's more about the specs. But yeah. When it comes to surviving, it's going to be a part of your general rotation. Often you can just skin to kind of stay offensive. Let's say if I'm bursting here with Savage and everything, get my bleeds up here real quick. And the enemies are doing damage to me. I can skin to stay in, just keep doing my damage. Also wall lasts for 12 seconds in MoP, which is pretty huge. Snarling Ward can also be used in cat form, so keep that in mind. If you have any specific questions, just ask them down below, and I'll try to get to them, or come to my stream. And now on to the next part. Okay, so now for the gearing, stats, and also professions, as they do play a pretty big role in MoP PvP. So the stat prio is going to be Mastery, Crit, Haste. Quite different from WoW in retail, where we actually prefer Haste, but Crit in MoP is really, really good as well. So yeah, that's the stat prio, and we're going to be gearing accordingly. So let's just go through every single piece of gear to make it very clear what I picked. So on the headpiece, you can see here, we're grabbing 4 sets. And we got the meta gem. It's called Agile Primal Diamond. And also Adept Vermilion Onyx with the agility, but also that nice mastery. But yeah, here's the headpiece. You can also see the enchanter as well. My exact stats are not necessarily optimized now. I could have a bit less hit and also a bit less expertise. So I could reforge like 2 things really and get it more optimized. We got the Crit Expertise neck, Haste Expertise shoulders, again part of the 4 set, Hit Mastery cloak, Crit Mastery chest, a part of the 4-piece. We also got some more of these Agile Vermilion Onyxes on the wrist as well, same thing. A little reforging done, but crit hit and also some PvP power. And also that Mastery enchant on the wrist. For the weapon, we got the Crit Mastery pike with Dancing Steel. For trinkets, we're going with the Insignia of Conquest. That gives us agility. Make sure you buy the agility one and not like the intellect or the strength one. Then we got some rings, Crit Haste, and also hit crit. No, Crit Reforged from hit. I wonder if actually I could change this ring. I don't know if there's another ring with better stats. But that's something to keep in mind. On the boots, here we go. Crit Mastery. 140 agility and minor speed increase and chance. Here's the legs. So for the blue gems, we're going with Assassin's Imperial Amethyst, agility, and PvP power. And then also the gloves for the 4-piece. That is my gear. And now for the professions. Okay, so for professions, I'm actually not doing the optimal path right now because I'm going blacksmithing. Instead of blacksmithing, you should have tailoring to get your cloak enchant, which is really, really good. But yeah, blacksmithing is also okay. Get some more gems, which is not bad. But yeah, do get tailoring if you want to be completely min-maxed instead of blacksmithing. You get a very nice cloak enchant. Engineering, that is also BIS. You get a very good on-use on your gloves, which is going to be giving you a bunch of agility for 10 seconds. It's actually pretty insane how strong professions are in MoP. It's on a 1-minute cooldown, and it's just going to be a big buff. See right here. 1,920 agility every minute. But yeah, for professions, there's not really much more to add than that. And yeah, that's all the gear. This is a pretty quick guide, kind of just covering the basics. If you do have any more specific questions that you want to know, feel free to send me a message on Discord, come to my stream, or leave a comment on this video, and I will get back to you. MoP Feral, I think, is actually not that complicated. Feral is often known as a very hard spec to play, and I do think, you know, it has some tougher elements, but the basics are basic, and I think it can be quite nice to just not overcomplicate it as well, in terms of your damage, rotation. Just maintain Savage Roar, get those bleeds up, and you will be doing good. I think the difficulty with Feral comes more into surviving, potentially. Remember, you have Bear Form. Your speed is maybe your biggest defensive. Pre-kiting goes is going to help you a lot. Pre-Bear Form goes. Lando's kicks. Remember your Typhoon, so you can use that from far away, like I talked about earlier in the guide. Stop cast. And yeah, Feral has a very high skill cap. There are many, many things you can do that can kind of, you know, set you above the rest. So keep that in mind. Obviously, just play around with these abilities in MoP. We have so many cool ones. Again, Typhoon, Trance Rooting, Snoring Ward, Heart of the Wild, Symbiosis. Play around with these. Play games. Record your gameplay and watch it back. Analyze it. Ask yourself questions if you're using things at the right time. As you're watching your gameplay back, and this can be a great way to improve your own gameplay. That's like just a big general tip that I have for people that want to improve. Also one more tip that I don't want to forget about. So Dash and Stampede Roar will remove roots for you. So it is not on a global cooldown, but it does cost some mana. And if you want to dash a root or a Stampede Roar, that's also a great option. Or like a slow in general. Yeah. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Have fun with the launch of MoP Classic, and I'll see you guys in the next video or in my streams. Take care.